Yesterday, I did a video on the rise of Bryce Underwood, who is the newfound phenom quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines. I want to do videos spotlighting the 2025 quarterback class, as I think there are a lot of hidden gems and big-time names, and the guy we're going to talk about today is Blake Hebert. At one point, Hebert was actually considered a 5-star recruit, and when he committed to Clemson, he was seen as one of the top guys in the class. But due to some unfortunate circumstances, Hebert actually fell to a 3-star recruit on some sites and ended up at Notre Dame after Deuce Knight went over to Auburn. He had quite the crazy story and somewhat of a fall off, but in my opinion, Blake Hebert is a hidden gem in the 2025 class, and I think has potential to actually play for Notre Dame at some point. Today, I want to go through and talk about all of this. Why did he drop? Who is this guy? And what could his impact be at Notre Dame? We'll talk about all of it, but before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you didn't support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's get started and talk about Blake Hebert. So before we can get going, be sure to take a quick moment to go down to the comment section and click the playlist that's going to have all the features on these 2025 quarterbacks, and let me know which guy I should cover next, as my goal is to cover all of the 4 stars, or at least all the guys who are going to the major programs. Be sure to drop your comment down below. Okay, so what I found really fascinating through my research is that Blake Hebert was actually at one point considered a 5-star recruit. When he made his commitment initially out of high school, he was rated as a 5-star by Rivals, but ultimately fell to a 3-star on 24/7 Sports by the end of it. So what the heck happened here? Well, growing up on the East Coast, Blake Hebert had one goal in mind. He said, quote, "I want to be a Power 5 conference quarterback," and his parents said he worked towards that every single day. Eventually, he arrived at Central Catholic High School in Connecticut and would start for the team during his sophomore season. He ended up throwing for nearly 1,800 yards, 24 touchdowns, and just 1 interception. After that, he got offers from UConn, UMass, and Rutgers, and then also eventually had a drastic recruiting rise when schools like Notre Dame, North Carolina, and even Clemson began to offer him. When asked why he thinks he broke out, he said, quote, "I think a lot of it's exposure with the offers I've gotten. Personally, in my development, I'm seeing the field at a slower pace, I'm breaking down film and breaking down coverages. That all helps when it translates onto the field." Okay, so the following season, he'd end up passing for 1,407 yards and 19 touchdowns, while also rushing for 300 yards and 4 scores. He only completed 58% of his passes, so yeah, those weren't the best numbers, and I guess I can kind of see why he fell off a little bit. But it didn't shy away schools, as Notre Dame's quarterback coach came to Central Catholic and watched him throw, and they threw him an offer. He said, quote, "They evaluated me in person as well on film and highlighted how I would fit into their system. Then they offered me." He said he always had the possibility of a Notre Dame offer in the back of his head, but he didn't want to expect it. He would decide to visit South Bend, Indiana, and his hope came to fruition. He said, quote, "It meant a lot, as it's a great school and a great program, so it definitely meant a lot to have the opportunity in the bag." So it seemed like he was a lock to go to Notre Dame, right? Well, that was wrong. He'd decide to visit 3 schools, and that would include Clemson, North Carolina, and Notre Dame, but after his trip to South Carolina, he said he knew exactly where he was going. He knew he was going to be a Clemson Tiger. He said, quote, "I remember watching Clemson football on TV when I was a kid, so it's amazing to be here. I'm pumped and I'm really excited for the future." At the time of his commitment, he was ranked as a 5-star by Rivals and the number 6 quarterback by 24/7 Sports. This was seen as a humongous pickup for Clemson, and they now had their guy, but over time, things would end up falling apart. This was due to an injury. Before his junior season, he ended up getting hurt, so he went almost an entire calendar year without being on the field. He'd also decided to transfer to the Brunswick School for his senior season, and all of a sudden, he was sort of being left behind. But quickly during his senior year, he started to gain momentum back, as through his first 5 games, he had thrown for 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. On October 15th, Hebert decided to flip his commitment from Clemson to Notre Dame out of left field. It caught many by surprise, and the Irish now had their quarterback. This came after Deuce Knight decided to flip to Auburn, and the Irish wanted to see if Hebert was open to a flip. It also helped that he had 2 teammates who were committed to the Fighting Irish, and it happened. He said, quote, "It was very friendly and there was no pressure at all. It was basically a relationship building and getting close with them, and it was a pretty tough decision, but it was just about what was right for me and my family." This was a big get for Notre Dame, but as I said, he was only listed as a 3-star recruit and had a major fall off. On3, though, still was high on him, as On3 said, quote, "Hebert is a physically developed quarterback with a good combination of arm strength and athleticism. He has some twitch to his game. He's shown the ability to push the ball downfield and has a live arm, both in camp and on Friday nights. So yeah, he won't be welcome with the same fanfare that Deuce Knight would have gotten, but it's also probably good for him. Hebert is still getting over that injury, still trying to get back to normal, and now he'll get an opportunity to come into South Bend under the radar and work and develop and hopefully be the guy of the future. For now though, there is absolutely no way that this guy will play, as there are 3 talented options ahead of him who have been patiently waiting. But Hebert probably has a little bit of time to wait before he gets on the field for Notre Dame, as Kenny Minchey has been spending time on the bench for the last few years and has been groomed to be the next starter for them. In fact, Steve Angeli was a guy that Tommy Rees really wanted, as coming out of Bergen Catholic High School in New Jersey, Angeli actually put up pretty good numbers while he was in high school. He ended up having 1,700 yards and 15 touchdowns, and while those numbers were obviously solid, that doesn't typically make you a blue chip recruit, and those stats don't pop off the page. Angeli was sort of like Hebert in the sense that he was a 4-star in some sites and a 3-star in others, but so far he has waited his turn in Notre Dame. In 2 seasons of mop-up duty, Angeli threw for 500 yards and 7 touchdowns in 2023, and then 268 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2024, and he also came in for a pivotal drive in the college football playoff. Right now he is rumored to be in the frontline position for the job, but chasing him are 2 other blue chip players, one of which is Kenny Minchey, an athletic freak quarterback from Nashville, who will likely transfer in my opinion, but maybe not. Minchey does have a lot of potential, as he came out of Pope John Paul II High School in Nashville, throwing for nearly 5,000 yards during his career. He also had 53 touchdowns. After the Kenny Pickett hype, he decided to commit to Pitt, but Minchey blew up into a 4-star and then would end up flipping to Notre Dame, where so far he has been on the bench up in South Bend. And then CJ Carr, the grandson of the infamous Lloyd Carr, the coach at Michigan, and it's apparently going to come down to Angeli and Carr for that job, but ultimately I think it's going to be Steve's job to lose, but CJ Carr is probably the future. But you never know how college football works, as maybe CJ is good enough in 2026 to actually go to the NFL after 1 season, and then that could be Hebert's opportunity. Or who knows, maybe CJ is terrible and Steve is terrible, and Hebert gets an opportunity a little bit sooner than expected. Either way, I think this guy is definitely going under the radar for Notre Dame, and people should not be surprised if he eventually takes over as a starter. I think it's unfortunate that he got screwed in the recruiting world, as it's not common for a guy to drop from a 5-star to a 3-star in just a couple of months, but that's what an injury can do. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, be sure to let me know your thoughts down below. Who will win Notre Dame's quarterback job? Do you think Blake Hebert has a future there? And what other quarterback or freshman should I take a look at next? Be sure to let me know down below. Leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen, including my video previewing Notre Dame's 2025 quarterback room. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.